Hey everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 238. Today we're going to talk about 7 Days of Westerplatte. This is a new game from a new publisher, I believe, a Polish company, G3. Now this is a cooperative game, plays 1 to 4 players, and it's set in a historical battle that took place in Poland during World War II. The Germans were invading with this big boat that you can see here, and basically what players are going to be doing is cooperating, trying to work out the logistics of moving to different fronts as this city and this sort of bay is invaded, trying to conserve ammo, use ammo correctly, lay mines and sort of traps for the advancing German soldiers. So let's take a look at it, and I'll come back and tell you what I think. Okay, I've got the game set up here. You can see a couple of things on the board. First, you've got the area in the front of the board here. These are where German troops are going to be advancing on the Polish players here. So you've got 5 different tracks that these troop cards are going to be moving up. And then up here, you can see players will start with their little wooden shoulders here in the center circle here. What they're going to be doing is moving around, sort of defending these positions here with the circles, as well as going to these different tiles which are randomly put out and taking different actions on those tiles. And you can see these bricks here, these are what's going to be destroyed. Now players will actually lose the game if at any time 2 of these action tiles have no brick markers on them. The players will win the game if they are able to last all 7 days of the attack. And I'll explain how you track that here in a second. The other thing that we can see up here is a morale track, and now this is the easy morale track, and over here we've got the hard morale track. There's a couple of different ways to sort of configure the difficulty of the game. This is one of the ways, and normally you're going to start with this marker here, and then you can take actions to increase morale. Maybe some event cards and things will come out to decrease morale, and you'll have different sort of actions and things that'll happen as morale goes up and down. You've also got some tokens and things here to keep track of different events. And then you've also got 2 sort of decks of cards. Now you have an event deck. You're only ever going to use 6 of these. Now the game is going to sort of tailor itself on difficulty. Basically, you're going to put a certain number of bad events and a certain number of good events in the deck. You'll only have 6 that are used in the game. These will get drawn every time you finish a day of activity. You'll have some either positive or negative event happen. And you've also got a deck of German sort of soldiers and things that will happen. You've got sort of an A deck and then a B deck once the game starts to get going. So you're kind of will seed the board with some of these here. You can see a couple of things that will happen here, like this one will decrease morale. It'll destroy a brick in the B column here. So you can see the columns here have A, B, C, D, E. So if this card were to be drawn, for example, we would lose 1 morale on the morale track, and then we would destroy 1 brick from B. And then any troops that were in column C or E, so again we can see down here you've got column C or E, these would then advance. Now here you have a German troop, and there are 2 types of troops. You've got the machine gunners here. There's a couple of statistics that you can see. You've got a B, and this is going to show you the column that it's going to start in. Now if there are any troops either up in the column or down here, and you were to go to place this, and you're going to kind of go to the right to the next available column. There can only be 1 card in each of the columns, so you're going to find the next available column. If all the columns are full, you're in bad shape first of all, but you're going to take and put this card underneath the bottom of the deck, and then you're going to decrease morale by 1 step. So the other options on this card, you can see you've got the sort of health of the card, so all this needs is 1 hit, then it will be destroyed. But whenever it moves, it's going to actually move up 3 spots. So as soon as it starts here, first time it moves, it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then it's going to be up in this top row. Now these cards here are not going to do damage until they are basically adjacent to the bay here. The other thing you can see here is the amount of damage that will do. So this is only going to do 1 damage. It's basically going to remove 1 brick, whatever column it's in. Now once this set of bricks here is removed, let's say these are gone, and then this guy was here up in front here, he's actually going to do 1 damage to this position, and then the players will choose which of the connected action tiles are going to lose a brick. So once these are gone, then you're going to start kind of distributing damages based on the different spots there. And then again, when this card comes out, it's going to activate the A and E column, and then those columns are going to move up according to their foot speed. The other type of German troop card are these artillery gunners here. You can see these don't have any movement speed because these are going to stay in the backmost column down here. So if this guy were to come out, actually he would come out in E, but for argument's sake, let's say he ended up here. He's going to actually fire from this position down this column here. He's never going to activate, but as soon as these guys get out, they're going to start shelling the coastline there. So those are the basic types of troops and events and things you're going to be dealing with. You got the two types of German troops. You got these different morale reducing cards. This particular one is an airstrike, so it's also going to start removing bricks from a particular column. So to start the game, you'll maybe have some of these out on the board here. And then players are going to be able to start taking actions. Every time a player is done taking their action for the turn, you're going to flip over the top card here. Then you're going to resolve it, maybe place it in the column, activate any of the other columns, and move troops up. So on a player's turn, they basically get 2 moves and 1 action. Now you can kind of split that up. You can move 1 spot, do the action, move again, move twice, do an action, move twice, however you want to do it. Now you can see here we've got these different action spots here, these little circles. These are going to be to actually return fire and repel the German soldiers that are encroaching. And then you've also got these action spaces here. So for example, if I was green, I could do move, move, then I could go here and take that action tile there. So speaking of repelling German soldiers, you can see here you're going to get 4 ammo, and these are these little cylinders here that you're going to have. You're going to start the game with 2 of these for each player, and you're going to want to go here and replenish these, because to have a combat action against a possible German troop, you're going to need to be in this spot and spend 1 of your ammo to hit that German soldier. Now this German soldier here only requires 1 hit, and then you're going to actually kill it and then discard it over to this side of the board there. I'll talk a little bit more about this in a second, but this is how you're going to actually repel them. You're going to need to spend an ammo, and then you're going to do 1 damage to it. Now some of the troops have more than 1 hit point. You can see this one has up to 3, so this is going to require 3 hits, and then they've got these cool little wooden damage tokens there that to mark damage on the cards. Now if you are with somebody in a spot, let's say green and red were here, and both players had available ammunition tokens in their supply, then during green's turn he could do a fire action here, and then if red had one, they could both spend 1 of their ammo markers to do then 2 damage on the card. So that's kind of an interesting way to team up there. So that's what all these little circle spots are. You're going to basically be moving around here and then doing damage to the different columns on the board. So let's go over all these action tiles. Now these are actually double-sided, so you can see here this has a sort of a green dot on this side, and then on the other side there is a red dot. Now they're mostly different, and just the red dot side is going to be harder than the green dot side, and sort of a not quite as cool of an action. If you take this action here, you can take 3 columns and move the troops in those columns back 2 spots. So you just go, you pick your 3 columns, and then any cards that are here, they're going to go back 2 spots. That can be pretty handy from keeping them off of your shoreline and doing lots of damage to all these brick walls. As I said already, here you go and you get 4 ammunition for the player that took the action. Here we have sort of our own artillery, and if you're here you can take and just spend 1 of these and discard it off the board, and then you can do 2 damage to any troop in any column. If you go here, you can increase your morale token by 1, so this can just go up by 1. And so while we're here, let's talk about what the morale is going to do. Now, like you saw on some of the cards that you're going to draw at the end of each player's turn, then the morale is going to go down by 1. But again, you can go here and increase the morale by 1. When the morale token hits this spot here, you can replenish either the mines, which I'll talk about in a second, these repair bricks, or these artillery tokens. So as you spend these and then the morale goes up, you can choose 1 of those. So for example, you could choose 1 artillery token, 1 mine, or a stack of 2 bricks here. If it hits this lower spot, you have to choose 1 of them to remove. Once you get to this spot here, you're going to actually divvy out the 5 movement tokens. These you can spend on your turn to do an extra movement, so you can just kind of distribute those how you want among the players. On the other hand, if the morale token hits here, you're going to distribute these negative movement modifiers, so you want to kind of distribute those out evenly and then spend those as much as you can early, so that you can turn those back in, because basically you're hampered to be 1 movement on your turn. Now if we hit the higher spot here, you can distribute these 4 extra action tiles, so you can actually get more than one action. Now as soon as the token hits here, it's going to reset back to the middle there. And then on the other side here, you basically are going to have to reduce the total number of ammunition tokens from all the players by 5. And again, once it hits this marker here, it's going to reset back to the middle. And then the advanced one is just a little bit shorter of a trip to either side. So again, you can go here and increase the morale. Now you can go here and you take an action to grab one of these stacks of 2 bricks. Sorry about the mess, a little difficult to handle when I'm recording. So you can take a stack of 2 bricks and then apply it and sort of repair any of the walls that might have been destroyed out here. So that's a good spot. And then finally we have this mine spot here. So you can take one of these mine tokens here and then put them out onto an empty spot, say here. So as soon as a German troop moves into that, it'll be instantly destroyed no matter how many hit points it has. And then again, the German troops and cards are going to go over here once they're destroyed. So any of these cards here that reduce morale, when you play them, they don't really go out on the board. They're just going to go here in a face-up discard pile. And then as you destroy troops, they're going to build up here. And so as you do this, you're going to start building these up. And once you get to 7, then you're going to go ahead and flip that over. You're going to flip an event. You're going to do whatever the event says, and then you basically have moved on to day 2. And then again, you lose the game if you have 2 action tiles with no bricks, and you win the game basically if you fight, what is it, 7 times 7, so that'll be 49 battles, so to speak. And then if you do that, then you win. So as you go up through here, you're going to get further and further through this deck into some of the more difficult cards. Once you hit the end of round 3, you're going to max out your mines and your repairable walls and your artillery tokens up here. So it's a really interesting idea because historically, apparently according to the rulebook, there was a day of resupply, and it works kind of interesting from a mechanical perspective because you really want to kind of try to spend all these early, get all of your mines set up, you know, sort of prepare, if you will, for that, you know, final wave of German soldiers. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of do that because you know you're going to max out at the end of day 3. So you just play all the way through there, you know, worry about, you know, trying to keep some guys out here to defend and repel the German soldiers, and then also, you know, play with ammo, try to keep your morale high, try to get some of the bonuses and stay away from some of the detractors, and then that's pretty much how the game works. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. This is a very straightforward, almost simplistic co-op. It's very straightforward. You know, like you take a couple actions, you move, take an action, and then flip a card, and then your troops move up, or you reduce morale, boom. Turns are very quick. Now, I don't think that's a knock against the game. I like that it's accessible. It's also wrapped in a factual historical battle, which you don't see usually in this kind of co-op. So I think that's going to be very interesting for a lot of people that want to sort of investigate and kind of, you know, steep themselves slightly in a little bit of history, but not get kind of drugged down by all of the typical sort of rules, exceptions, and simulative properties of a typical war game. I mean, you can play this with your family very easily with kids, and it gives you a definite flavor and sense of sort of a desperate battle, sort of an Alamo type of situation, because, you know, you'll flip a card and it'll like advance a whole bunch of troops up, so you know next turn you're just going to get hammered. You know, your walls are disappearing, so you've got to sort of, you know, race back and forth along your sort of coastline and this sort of, you know, area of bunkers, if you will, to, you know, try to, you know, just tamp back these advancing, ever encroaching, you know, almost zombie-like, you know, German soldiers. So it's very interesting, and there's a lot of sort of simple, but there's a lot of simple logistical management, you know, with the ammo and the different mines and things like that. You've got one basic track to manage, which is that morale track. But which can really change the game. If you can get that up higher, get those extra actions, those extra movements, that can really, you know, give you a great benefit. On the other hand, if it reduces down to the negative side, it's really going to put a damper on you. So it's one simple track, but it has a very good impact on the game. So anyway, this is 7 Days of Westerplatte. I believe that's the right way to pronounce it. Definitely take a look at it if you have sort of a penchant for, you know, historical games and are looking for something, you know, a little bit simpler but definitely straightforward and really thematic on how everything ends up turning out. So, thanks.